This is the Bricks and Bleachers podcast, all things Chicago Cubs in under 10 minutes. Cubs are coming off an impressive 3-game sweep against the defending champion Dodgers. Who would have seen that coming? We'll take a closer look. Also, an update on some Cubs injuries, honors for Kris Bryant, plus our This and That segment with news and notes from around the league. First, let's talk Cubs. That's why you and I are here. Cubs are one game below 500, 15-16. The record coming into Friday's action, St. Louis right now leading the National League Central. Milwaukee a game back, and then the Cubs 2.5 back of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cubs with a much-needed day of rest on Thursday after a doubleheader on Tuesday and a really thrilling extra inning contest on Wednesday. 3 in a row with the Dodgers and that really impressive starting rotation they have of Clayton Kershaw, Trevor Bauer, and Walker Buehler. Cubs had no issue with that rotation, however. In fact, they put up 4 runs on Kershaw in the first inning of Tuesday's doubleheader Game 1. Kershaw only pitched that one inning, actually. Cubs cruised to a 7-1 victory. Kyle Hendricks has struggled greatly in 2021, but he went the complete game 7 innings. First Cubs starter to record an out in the 7th inning this year. And that feat came in game 29. Unbelievable. Game 2 was a thriller. Cubs trotted out Keegan Thompson as a last-minute starter. He turned in 3 scoreless innings. Now, keep in mind, doubleheader games are only 7 innings, so he went almost halfway. And after 7 innings Tuesday night, it was tied at 1. Both teams scored 2 in the 8th. Justin Steele held the Dodgers scoreless in the 9th. Then David Bodie delivered a walk-off hit in the bottom of the 9th. Cool to see a young guy, Thompson, get his first start and then bookend that with Steele recording his first career win. So move on to Wednesday. Cubs coming off the doubleheader victory. They've already won the series. They're going for the sweep. Adbert Alzolay against Walker Buehler, the pitching matchup, and Alzolay looked really good. Now, he's not a guy who's going to give you a whole lot of innings. He's still building himself up. He's still really young. He did go 5 innings and struck out 7 during that time. This one went extra innings, and like the night before, both teams scored in the first extra frame. Then the Dodgers added to it in the top of the 11th to make it 5-4. Now, Anthony Rizzo did not start Wednesday night, but he came in off the bench late and delivered the walk-off hit, making it a 6-5 Cubs win. Don't see this often, but 2 Dodgers relievers credited with a blown save in Wednesday night's game. Kenley Jansen for his work in the 10th, Garrett Clevenger for his work in the 11th. Cubs pitchers issue a lot of walks. We talked about that in our last episode, and it was nice to have the tables turned. Cubs benefited from a lot of walks. Jansen offering 3 of them in the 10th, Clevenger offering 1 additional walk in the 11th. Doesn't matter how you get on base, when you cross the plate, it still counts all the same. So especially those 2 night games with the Dodgers, you really felt like you were watching playoff baseball. Really fun to watch, and it's worth noting Cubs had so many chances Tuesday night offensively, just could not get anything going when it mattered. Cubs hitters 2 for 20 with runners in scoring position on Tuesday night in that second game of the doubleheader. They still somehow won that game. Great defensive play in the 11th inning Wednesday night. Cubs gunned down Justin Turner at the plate to end the top of the 11th. This was actually a very pivotal game. Bryant, or a very pivotal play in that game. Bryant to Baez to Contreras. Play was reviewed, and if you watch many of the Cubs telecasts, you've probably heard Boog Shambi talk about the need to revamp the replay system because no one knows what's going on. You have the umpires gathering off to the side of the field for these replays. They put on the headsets to communicate with New York, but they don't communicate to those in the stadium or for those of us watching on TV. It's not always clear what's being reviewed. Not always as simple as a safe or out call. Other Cubs notes, the rotation last year led the league in innings pitched. It's a total 180 so far this year, with the Cubs starters averaging less than 5 innings through the first 28 games. Now, it's not an exact comparison when you look year over year because the makeup of the rotation has so drastically changed with so many new arms from guys not named Kyle Hendricks. Long term, though, you have to get more than 4 to 5 innings out of your starters to have a shot at being competitive night in and night out. You can only lean on that bullpen for so long. Jake Arrieta skipped his start against the Dodgers. This week, he moved to the injured list with a thumb abrasion. They are hoping he will return next week. Cubs had yesterday off, and they have this upcoming Monday off, so I believe there is a chance Jake Arrieta would only miss that one start from a few days ago. We'll see how he progresses. I'm sure an update will come over the weekend. Kris Bryant was named NL Player of the Week for the week ending Sunday, May 2nd. Kris Bryant among the major league leaders in home runs. Two guys have hit 10 so far this year. That's coming into Friday's action. And then you got KB right behind them at 9. He's hitting above 300, OPS over 1,000. I mentioned in our last episode that I think Kris Bryant has the most value if, one, he stays healthy, and two, if the Cubs throw in the towel in July because they just are not competitive. KB will have some sort of trade value if he keeps this up. His contract is up at year end. So far, he's certainly playing for big money in 2022. Bryant is also Mr. Swiss Army knife here in 2021. You think Kris Bryant, you probably think third baseman, but less than half of his starts this year have come at third base. 14 starts there at third base, 8 in left, 5 in right field, 1 in center, and 1 at first base. Cubs a few days ago ran out of players in Cincinnati. Jake Arrieta was used as a pinch hitter. David Ross had started the year with a bench makeup of 9 relievers and 4 position players on the bench. He switched it up right after that. I believe it was Monday. Roster moves now resetting the active man roster where the Cubs have 5 available off the bench and 8 relievers. Scary moment in Cincinnati. This was on Sunday. Nico Hoerner and Ian Happ colliding as Hoerner fielded a fly ball in shallow center field. It looked pretty scary. Happ was down on the field for quite some time. Hoerner completed the play, made a quick relay throw into the infield. Happ, though, was carted off the field. No injury list for Ian Happ. He's rested since then. He has not played. I believe he will see action this weekend. David Ross said Happ was actually even available Wednesday night as a last-case option, and even though that game went 11 innings, Ian Happ was not needed. So no IL for Happ. Hoerner has ended up on the IL with a left forearm strain. That was announced on Monday. Dan Winkler moved from the bullpen to the IL. Jake Arrieta, as I mentioned, he's on the IL with a thumb abrasion. And Austin Romine, the backup catcher, also on the IL. And I believe he's now been transferred from the 10-day to the 60-day injured list. Good news on the injury front. Jock Peterson activated from the IL this week, and he played against his former team, the Dodgers. This and that. News from around the league. Another no-hitter is in the books. This time it's John Means of the Baltimore Orioles. He hurled that on Wednesday afternoon in Seattle. Madison Bumgarner hurled 7 innings of no-hit ball for the Giants a few days ago. But it's not an official no-hitter, as it was one of those 7-inning doubleheader games. Interesting, the stats count from those games. Wins and losses count from those games as well. But official no-hitters cannot be recorded in a 7-inning game. Staying on the West Coast, the Angels are fun. I really love Shohei Ohtani. I've talked about him previously on this show. In late April, he became the first pitcher in Major League Baseball since Babe Ruth to start a game as a pitcher while also leading the league in home runs. It's been 100 years since that last occurred. Think of it this way. At the time, or actually as of right now, Kris Bryant having a great year for the Cubs, but he's tied with a pitcher in terms of home runs. And that's not a knock on KB. That's just how amazing Shohei Ohtani is. Both guys with 9 entering Friday's play. That's unbelievable. All right, let's talk Friday's action of this weekend ahead for the Chicago Cubs. From Wrigley Field, it is the Cubs and the Pirates. Already the third series between these clubs this season. First pitch at 2:20 Eastern this afternoon, and on Saturday and Sunday, Zach Davies and Trevor Cahill to match up Friday afternoon. Marquee Sports Network with all the action all 3 days this weekend. MLB Network also carrying the game this afternoon. So if you don't get Marquee, perhaps you can check in on the Cubs on MLB Network this afternoon. 3 with Pittsburgh this weekend, then an off day Monday, 2 in Cleveland, then another off day on Thursday, the 13th. That's 3 off days for the Cubs in an 8-day span. Looking ahead to June, they don't have 3 off days throughout that entire month. Only 2 off days in June and 18 road games for the Cubs next month. Ouch. That is rough. Hey, thanks for listening. Everything you need to know about the Chicago Cubs, we give it to you in under 10 minutes. And please follow us, too, on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get yours so you never miss an episode of the Bricks and Bleachers podcast.